But yeah, so I'm just going to speak a bit about, it was a while ago, but I had a week out in Calais in the jungle, which is the big refugee camp that was in Calais. It's now been taken down and people have been moved elsewhere. But yeah, I'll just speak about it a little bit. Apologies if I forget stuff. Jump in with questions. You can keep them to the end, or you can jump in straight away, because probably you asking questions is helpful, because I'll remember stuff when you ask things. And yeah, I managed to share at a cafe church towards the end of the year as well, so I've got some notes from that. I didn't speak as long. I don't know how long I'll be. I probably won't be too long. Yeah, I mean, the whole trip, it didn't really come about like it was a big, like, shining light, and I was like, now is the time for me to go out and do a mission or something or anything like that. I really signed up kind of accidentally. I saw a tweet from 24/7 Prayer, who are this organization. I just read the book there. The person who set up 24/7 Prayer is called Pete Greig. And he has this book called Red Moon Rising, which is all about starting up 24/7 prayer. And he's just released a second book called Dirty Glory, if anyone is interested. It's awesome, amazing stuff. A lot of which would be awesome to see happen here. Brief talks about Epiphania, moving that on, are kind of linked in with that. It's all kind of prayer and worship, and how important that is to the life of us as people, and also as a church, and the fruit you can see from a ministry like that. So it was just following all these people on Twitter. I saw that 24/7 were like, oh, these are our our mission events, and I thought, oh, I'll go check those out. And then I wasn't really looking at anything too crazy. I saw one was in France, and I was like, France, I could be awesome in France. I still remember my French from school. Bonjour, Rory McGregor, j'adore le petit déjeuner. J'ai 22 ans. Yeah, I think that's how you'd say 22. Yeah.
Good accent.
Yeah, thank you. Merci beaucoup. I used to have like a little bit I would do at the Holiday Inn. If anyone was French, I'd want to try. I was always trying to go the extra mile to kind of show that, hey, I'm a good waiter. You want to have me on your table. So if they were French, I would try. And there was a couple of times I managed to get through a whole order after I'd asked, "Do you speak French?" And they were like, "Yes." From there to the end, I managed to just about get through speaking French. So it was always like, I don't know if it was right, but when they were asking like how their food was, I was like, c'est bien? Because like all you need to do is like raise your voice at the end, and then it becomes a question. So it was like, bien? And they were like, I was like, okay. And then when I took out food, I'd be like, voila. So I don't know if that's what you're meant to do. They probably thought it was a joke.
It sounds right.
There were a couple of times I did that, and then like at the end they were like, in English, can we see the dessert menu? And I was like, I failed. I've broken the spell. Yeah, sure.
Not impressed.
Yeah, I know. I tried. Yeah, so I kind of like registered my interest, and I kind of got confused because there was this box that was like, say why you're interested in. And then I tried to say it, and then it was like, you only have like 140 characters or something. It was like a Twitter box. I'm like, oh no, how do I say all this? So I like cramped it all in. And then all of a sudden they said not only had my interest been registered, but that here's the form you're on. This is the team you're on. You're going at this time. And it was just after Soul Survivor, which we had last summer. My mum was like, how are you going to get there? Because to get to Calais, there's not like, well, you could fly to Paris and get a train, but it was all a bit not too sure. Then once I'd filled in the forms, I was like communicating with the people going, and I had this plan where I was getting the megabus to London through the night, and then the train to Blackheath, and then getting picked up by this girl called Sarah. Then we were driving to Guildford to pick up Anna, and to pick up another one of the girls, and then we were driving to Dover, then getting the ferry across, then driving to where we were meant to be. It was even more complicated on the way back. But it all went down fine. So we had Soul Survivor, which was good. And then, although I wasn't feeling like super... Sometimes when you're at like a conference like Soul Survivor, youth conference, you come away like super up for it. I wasn't necessarily feeling that. It was probably one of the lowest I've come away from a conference like that. But I was ready to just get rolling into the new thing. It was kind of good that it was coming so soon after, because I was like, I'll just roll into it. So it all kind of like rushed into it, but all of a sudden I was in Calais, so I was just there for a week. And the main purpose of it was just very similar to kind of what we do at a Friday Night Live or a Life Cafe, but just in a refugee camp of 10,000 people. We would drive in what was a French ambulance, but had been turned into a van for serving tea and coffee. So we had like a hatch. So we would take turns actually in the van. You'd have to bring in all the water, bring in gas canisters. You had to hope that they would let you in with the gas canisters, because they knew what you were doing, but sometimes they would check. And if like they found the gas canisters, it was within their right to remove them, because the way it worked when I was there was that ever since the jungle started, the like French government, they didn't want it to be a thing. They wanted to get rid of it. They didn't want all these people coming into France and then making their way up here. Just same sort of sentiment that has led to Brexit and all these things. And they just didn't want the people. So they didn't let any major charities in or anything like that, because they didn't want to make it a registered thing where you have charities coming here and there. So they let in like Doctors Without Borders, who are just there for to do like medical stuff, but other than that, it was just really small groups that were allowed in. So they were really strict about like if you were bringing in extra things, they were trying to limit that as much as possible, because they didn't really want you there in the first place. But yeah, so we went in, we would serve, we'd ask if they wanted tea or coffee, they would line up, and then we'd give them like a biscuit as well. And then we also set up outside the, so we kind of went in, we parked maybe 75, 100 meters away from the entrance to the camp, which is just marked by like toilets, and then the tents and the buildings and stuff all start. We're parked there, and we set up a bunch of tables and chairs just outside the van, and we had board games just on all of them. We had Connect Four, we had your Scrabble, we had your Uno when it wasn't too windy and they would all blow away. We had chess, no Hive, no Kaelin Theismann.
Oh, is that the one that's like the bug?
Yeah, it's like it's a really weird game. We play at Life Cafe where all the things are like hexagons, and we didn't have that game. But yeah, and then also we had there was like a half-broken accordion, which I managed to make some good sounds out of. There was a guitar. Fiona, who led the team, she was out there all in all, I think, for 6 months, living in a caravan and then going out every day with the van. She had her ukulele. I'd brought my ukulele along with me because I managed to like cram it in my bag or whatever. So yeah, so that's kind of like the setup we had. I've just ignored these notes, which I don't know if I had anything good in these notes. Maybe it's a good thing. But the purpose of doing all that was just also just, I mean, it was just let them know that there were people who were there and people who cared about them. It wasn't some big thing in trying to be apostles or great people like, come you who are needy and see the way to righteousness. It wasn't anything like that. It really was just getting to know these people, even though it was only for a week, and just letting them know the people who care about them, just having fun with them. And it was just amazing to know that I just showed that they were valued, that even in the situations they were in, there were people who wanted to make sure that they got cared for, because for most of them, they were coming from places, not as much you would think. Syria was the biggest one. It was only maybe 5% of the people were from Syria. It was really Sudan, Ethiopia, Eritrea, places in Africa. So they've actually had to come much further to get to France, a much longer journey. there was one of the guys there called Nati, who it had taken him to get from Ethiopia. It had taken him a total of 15 months to get through all the checks and whatever to get to France with his intention of getting into the UK. So it was crazy. But that was the thing. It wasn't trying to do anything super holy. It was just to let them know, give them some tea and coffee and let them know that we cared about them. All in all, so there was like 10,000 people in the camp when we were there. We maybe gave out 550 cups per day. I'm pretty sure even in the week I was there, a good proportion of the people were there one day or another, just going through, because it's kind of built this reputation of that it's just not only are you getting a hot drink or a biscuit or just playing games, there's a real atmosphere of just like friendship and good vibes, which is crazy in this place where it's really not that good. I definitely didn't see it at its worst by far, because it's definitely when it gets dark and at night time when things are at their worst. And a couple of days after we'd left, there was a case where the police and the people there had like thrown like tear gas and stuff to stop riots and things like that. So like we saw it at the best time, and even then it's not great, but people came because they knew that there was just going to be like some peace. It was going to be jolly. They could beat me at a game of Connect 4 or whatever. So it was. I mean, just to give some more details about the jungle, the way like where they stay, it is literally. I mean, it's on rock, and it's just tents that they've just like hammered into the ground. Is where they stay. There are some like wooden shacks and stuff. I mean, I was amazed by how much there's like businesses. There were businesses and stuff which were actually there in the jungle. So they were like they were like restaurants in these like wooden houses. They were like shops and stuff, because like they were still like money was still getting in, and some people, although they were maybe moving from a place where there was war, they still had a bunch of money, so they were still managing to go out and get supplies and stuff. So it was kind of mind-boggling that you assume that they were just like staying there and waiting, but like there was like an economy like underneath this. And me doing economics and politics, I was like, how does this all work? And whoa, what's happening here? Like it was crazy. And there was a school as well, which was run I think from 11 till 6 I got here, and that was all done by volunteers. There was a couple of churches as well, one that we drove past coming in, and there was meals which were given out, which were all volunteers as well. They also had a big clothes warehouse, all volunteers as well. So there were no official organizations in there to give any help at all, just because as soon as they did that, it would be like, this is a thing, and then we need to have long-term plans for this. I mean, I guess they were successful in not making it a thing, because it maybe 3 months after, I think it was October, when they were like, get out of here.
Who built it?
So it's just people coming to congregate, because since they want to get into the UK as their goal, the nearest place you can get before being actually in the UK is Calais. And it's just spare ground between
So it
the...
just kind of got bigger and bigger.
Yeah. It was there was like over 70 new people a day. So
So it wasn't like fenced off or anything.
No.
So,
I mean, I imagine there were loose fences built after, but it's just a big camp. Yeah.
Did they have school? Like the kids were in school, or were they kind of...
There was a school, but I would say that it wasn't really kids who went. It was more, to be honest, there were a lot of kids. I think there were 700 kids or something out of the 10,000, but you didn't see much of them because they were in the camp, and most of the people going to school were trying to learn. They were like the breadwinners in the family, because they were the ones who'd gone. There weren't many women either, so it was mostly men in their 30s, 40s, trying to learn English, which would help them or Italian or whatever to help them get into another country where they could then, easier to get asylum or whatever. So there weren't that many kids. I mean, I thought it was, when I saw it, I thought it was something I'd be able to help with. I mean, the tea and coffee, I thought, working at the Holiday Inn for 5 years, Employee of the Year, 2014 or whenever it was, I've got this down. And also, being able to do the music, I thought I could help with that. And it was amazing that I managed to, like, teach quite a few things to quite a few people. The language barrier was a bit difficult. Me being left-handed, everyone else being right-handed, also difficult. But it was amazing. So, I mean, I thought myself as like having like a wee McG Music Ministries in the jungle. That's how I thought of it in my head. But yeah, it was really cool. And there were so many people who were like so passionate about, even though like never had a guitar, never done anything musical before, but just like so eager to learn, even though they hadn't had any of that. And there was actually, there were some people that I was writing out like chord sheets for them and then like bringing them in, just like the standard like worship chords. So there was one guy, Joseph, who I've got down written here. It was really difficult to keep track of names, so I tried to just like remember certain people like really well. So I had like the 10 people. So Joseph got ready here, Bob Dylan of the jungle, because he was so good. Like, I mean, it was maybe over a couple of days. He was the one who I gave most of the chord sheets to, and it was like by the third or fourth day, you'd have been doing whatever. You were maybe in the van doing tea and coffee, and you were out, and then you just like hear like some guitar from somewhere, and you look around, and he would be like in the corner, just like sitting with the like one of the two guitars, just like busting out the chords that he'd learned to like the other day, and it was just really cool seeing him, because he didn't know anything at the start. But and there was another guy called Ismail who it was maybe the last couple of days, so I didn't have as much time with him, but we were rocking out like I Could Sing of Your Love Forever, and the chorus of Good Good Father, which was actually like, it was pretty like heartbreaking hearing it in the, I think I kept together quite well at the time, but hearing it, and he didn't really like have like, he couldn't really get like the 6/8 kind of version that we would sing. So he was singing it quite slow, and it was like, he would like say the word and then play the chord for each line. But it was crazy to hear that in that context. And there wasn't anything like, don't share your faith or anything like that, trying to be, because you're probably of culture here that are more likely to listen to what you have to say than in the UK or anything, because they all come from religion or belief being an intrinsic part of you. So they're all like, you can speak to the end about God and they'll be like, yes, I'm on your side. It was, I mean, when you talk about Jesus, that was when it was a bit of a, whoa, don't know this guy, don't want to talk about that. So it was just, you had to approach that lightly, but you were free to, if it was singing a song about like God's power, they were all, or God's goodness or something, they were in on that. But it was just amazing to be able to use the limited gifts I have and be able to teach some people. Just some of the other people who were there. There was one guy, depending on how he was feeling, he'd either go by Abdul or David, because David was his Christian name, because his mum was Christian and his dad was Muslim, so he had Abdul or David. He's from Kenya, and he was like the coolest guy. Like, he was always wearing like different hats. He was like, he saw himself as the Connect 4 master, and he was good. I mean, I was better. And there were some other people who I think were better as well, but he saw him, he had the confidence, the conviction, so when he did win, it was a glorious victory.
He's like, I knew I was
he's like, he would lose and he'd look at it and then he'd be like, let's go again. But he was really funny because there's this pop song, I can't remember how it goes, but it's got this like really annoying hook that goes like, na 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 na.
Naughty Boy.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, I do know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's a girl singer.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're
Sam
talking
Smith.
about. But I
Sam
know it's
Smith.
not, but I do know exactly.
So like, so you wouldn't,
I
you
know
wouldn't,
it.
It's Sam Smith.
you wouldn't think about that as being like a big hit, but like he would like sing that, like just like be mumbling it and be like, dude, I know that song, and then I'd join in. So we'd have this case and we'd be at different sides of like different tables, and like it would like lull for a bit, and I'd just be like, na na na, and he would like look over and then he would join in. It was really cool. There's another guy called Teshe who, I mean, you think a game of Scrabble. You think surely you have the advantage. You've been learning English your whole life. You've read Harry Potter. You've read Lord of the Rings. You know what's up. You know slightly complicated words like teleological and things like that. I was awful. I mean, he just had the words down. It was beautiful watching him place them. And then he would go away and you'd be against one of his friends and he'd be helping them out. And then they'd start beating you and you're like, no! This is not good. It was really funny. There was another song that was big there was, only know you've been high when you're feeling low. Only miss the sun when it does the snow. Yeah, that was another one as well. Which like wouldn't have been the songs I would have immediately gone for. I was thinking like, they'll know Coldplay, right? No one knew Coldplay. I was just there because sometimes it was important to keep the line in order because the line was really long, so you had to keep that. You couldn't be letting people budge in. You had to be firm, like, dude, go to the back. And there were a couple of occasions when I was like, Rory, something could happen here, but you've got to stay strong. Don't let them budge. Because you got support. People in the back of the line, they were on your side. Because they didn't want people budging in the front.
Consistent.
Yeah, so like, I sung some like 21 Pilots and stuff as well. Just like, to try and keep the line jolly and provide some entertainment. But yeah, I mean, I was only there for a week, so it was still difficult to get a full grasp on how the camp was, and I mean that's the thing. I think I took a lot from it when you're thinking about mission, that it doesn't need to be the crazy Jackie Pullinger. I'm going away at the age of 22 to Hong Kong, and I'm not coming back. I'm setting up this. I've been reading Chasing the Dragon, which is her book. And I've been reading it for months, and I'm only on chapter 8 because I keep having to read stuff for uni, and there's too many TV shows I want to watch. And a new Pokemon game came out, so what are you gonna do? But just reading that has been amazing. But even you've got to start somewhere. It can't always be making that. For me, that was just going for a month to probably the country nearest to the one I'm already in. But just some more thoughts about, it was just amazing that all these people from different backgrounds, so multicultural, in awful situations, and there would have been times where it would have got heated, and there would have been fights, and there would have been disunity, but throughout all the time I saw there was still this coexistence which managed to, this is people, different faiths, different countries, which back in their home countries who they've come from, that will be enough reason to fight it out. That will be enough reason to live or die. But in this camp, they all had the same goal of getting somewhere else. So they were united by that. And that's still, even in these circumstances, which were awful, they still had this hope of it being better, of being able to get to this next place, to this next camp, the next part in the process, and that being able to totally change their situation around to be able to help out their family, which is amazing as well. I just makes you think about like how easily could it be me in that situation, like if things had gone differently, I don't know how it works when God's like, hi Rory, you're going to be in Westhill or wherever you are. You never know how the chips could have fallen or anything could have happened. That you're in a situation which is or feels as bad as that. So it's how much would it mean to you if there were these people who were coming just to hang out with you. And it was amazing just to be able to do something when you'd be seeing it on the news, seeing all these refugees, knowing what's going on, and just giving the little bit I could just to help out in such a small way. Yeah, I think that's...
So, like,
don't think it's the same thing.
What are they doing there? How are they trying to get somewhere else? Do they have to go apply for something to get over? Or are they
I mean, so there's different, processes you have to go through. You've got to, apply by different bodies. So there isn't that much that happens in the camp itself. I mean, it's all the stuff happens actually at the border when you're going onto the ferry or you're going to the tunnel or whatever, but it's this is where you stay while all the processes are happening, while you've applied and you've got rejected, but then you just apply again, and then you try and learn English, you try and contact other people to try and help you out, you try and see if there's other mechanisms, and also most of them they'll just wait until it's their chance to try and be smuggled over. So a lot of them you have to raise a certain amount of money, but when you do, you can pay to try and get your chance, is how it's referred to, which is just you spend the whole day, you get taken out or you walk out. I don't know where it is, so I don't know how, but so you essentially go to a scene where you imagine if a drug deal was going down or a weapons deal. That's how I imagine it. But just a abandoned area, and that's where a van or whatever, something that's going to the UK, it's going to another country, and they're willing to receive the money to smuggle people across. They'll just wait, and other people will just be waiting in these houses nearby, and then when your name's called, you crawl in over a wheel, you get put in a sofa or whatever, or however they're doing it, you get put in the walls of the van, and then you just go. So for some people that would be the normal day. You would get up, you'd do that, and then you'd come back. So it's just a waiting game for most of them. Yeah. But yeah, it was just, I mean, it feels weird because it's been 7-8 months since I've gone. And it was only for a month as well.
So why do they not try and do stuff in France?
To help them out.
No, why don't they just try and make a living in France instead of trying to get to England?
But if they go into a French city, they'll be arrested and then put back to their...
So is it Calais? Is it the outskirts? Is it kind of
the
outskirts of the kind of
city?
It's
the most north. I mean, there's a few different ones, but it's our version of Dover.
Okay.
So there are other ports, but Dover to Calais is the main one if you're going from the UK to mainland.
That's where the Eurotunnel and everything
for sure.
So there's actually trains and lorries and trucks that drive past every day. Yeah, so I'm sure there's a number of them coming through every day. There must be.
I mean, because one of the girls, Sarah, at the school and the learning centre where she works is refugees is mostly who she's working with, and there's new people coming in, and they've got to get in somehow. And so it's just, it's the camp is here, and the cars are driving here. There are big gates over there, and sometimes they'll chuck rocks, and sometimes they'll just go for it and try and get over there. But there are police there as well. There's a shipping yard there underneath this bridge as well.
I think they've been rejected asylum in France.
Yeah.
So they're not entitled to work or do anything. But I don't know why. Well, I guess France has an issue with trying to deport them, because where do you send them to? Many of them don't have... Any wise refugee will throw their paperwork away. So you then can't deport them to any particular location. So I don't think France can actually get rid of them. So that's why they just created this place.
Because it's like, to a certain degree, well, they come to the camp freely. It's not like someone's like put them there, so they can kind of like disperse as they want. But it's the same as if there's someone who's been refused asylum to the UK. If they're in the UK and they're trying to apply for something, and it's, well, you shouldn't be here. So
they won't get jobs, they won't get social security, healthcare, nothing.
Okay. Yeah.
So the only solution for them is to escape, and for them going back home is obviously not an option. So the next thing is to try somewhere else.
Is that why do you think the French government are limiting the charities to go in, or why do you think that is?
Well, it's because if they'd kind of been like, okay, this thing exists. I mean, they're reluctant enough to say there actually is. So if you let UNICEF and Christian Aid or whoever it is come in and set up, you're kind of creating some sustainability.
Be hard to get rid of it.
Yeah, I was thinking, you're like, it's like creating a whole new community for them to live at if other charities come in. Because then they have all they need. Charities are providing.
Yeah, it's almost like
creating a sense of this is not a great place. So
it's almost trying to deny.
But you don't want to make it too comfortable.
Even with the circumstances that it was, and the being purely reliant on getting like one hot meal for some volunteers, maybe scoring some extra clothes, getting some tea and coffee from us. There were people who were like, this is as far as we're going to get, so we're just going to chill out here as long as we can, because this is still better than
going back.
South Sudan or
it's almost like that whole thing of like, like only you can see how they're trying to deny the problem, but then it's like it's too late, it's already it's there, and
there's more coming, right?
Exactly. And it's almost like, to me, I felt like I was like, you felt like you did such a good job in describing it, because you kind of like, obviously the word refugee, like I've seen refugee camps in Congo, or like, but it's nice to kind of like get that picture, and equally, as you say, the sense of what they're living like, or what the needs are, but actually how like powerful just that connecting with them. And I love how you knew their names and that, because that's God's heart, right? It's just like, who doesn't even matter if they came from a situation or whatever. It's just like they're people, and so I think it's interesting to see how the different countries respond, right?
I think it's a very interesting subject in one sense, because there's always a temptation to treat them as them. And I think, Rory, you touched on something really, really important. And I think because if Christians are not different to the world, then what does the world has no hope? Yeah, and you said it wouldn't have taken a lot for you to be that guy, and that guy to be you. And that's the same for any one of us. It didn't take a lot. I won't say luck, because it's not luck. It's the hand of God upon you that has facilitated you to be who you are, where you are, and all that kind of stuff. You just needed to be born. And in the space of eternity, right, 3,000 miles is not a lot. You just needed to be born 3,000 miles away from where you were born. And you would be even worse off than those guys, because they are the lucky ones, some are stuck back where they are escaping from. So they are even the lucky ones. You could be stuck back where they are escaping from. And it's so easy, because we get caught up in the news and everything else, and we say, oh, I'm a taxpayer, I pay tax, I don't want this, and my country is getting this, and my country is getting overwhelmed by this stuff. Pause for a second and think, what does Jesus think? Jesus is not interested, folks, this is the honest truth. Jesus is not interested in any nationalistic agenda. He's not interested in any sort of ethnic agenda. He's not interested in a racial agenda. He's interested in the person. All this other stuff we whip up is human, is created by humankind, is us. And all these boundaries, after all, where did they come from? Are they God's creation necessarily? That we have borders between countries? Now, I'm not trying to be utopian and think we need to live in a sort of free-for-all world. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the reality is we should be thinking about the person. And what did Jesus say? He said, do unto others that means think as well as, if you're in the ability to do it, what you would like others to do to you. So you flip it around and say, well, I'm the guy in the jungle. What would I like to be done to me? Now, I'm not saying what I want, because sometimes somebody wants to do something that's not necessarily healthy for them, but that's not always the point. The point is treating the person like a person, as a person, with love, care, and attention. And you think about the story of the Good Samaritan. You see, that was somebody who was a Jew picking up a Samaritan. Somebody who was hated. So it's just like someone who could be like a refugee or somebody like that who's hated because we don't want you here because you're sponging or you're doing this. If we, honestly, it's a serious issue. If we as Christians don't respond differently, now, I'm not saying what our response should be in every situation. I'm not saying open up all the doors and all. I'm not a politician, thank God for that. I don't have to make those decisions. I can hide behind my door and pray and say, I'm praying for you. Go and make the decision. I'm praying for you. Yeah, that's the easy one, is to pray. And I'm glad on that. But think about the person. We must treat the person with value. Because Jesus values that person the same as he values any other person. But do you know something? We place value on people. Do you know we rank value of humans? Do you know we rank value of individuals? So to us, in our subconscious, one person is here, another person is here. And I'm not speaking about your family. Because you look at those guys, oh, those guys, they're there. And I'm not saying you're wicked or I'm wicked. You know, we're all human beings. It's natural. It's normal. That's their problem. So what we need to always go back to is the Bible says we should have the faith of our Lord Jesus Christ without partiality, without discrimination. That means each person, sorry for hijacking this completely.
No,
each person is of the same value to Jesus and was worthy of Jesus dying. That's why the work these guys are doing is so precious type of work, yeah? Because these are the forgotten guys. No, everybody hates them. Yeah, they're problems. They're problems to everybody. They're constantly being battered by the police, constantly being tear gas on them, vilified, told that they're criminals, they're this, that, and the other. But even the criminal, does Jesus not love him or her? And he shows him or her love. That's why it's such a powerful ministry. You're involved in that kind of refugee kind of space, lost people. But they're not only in Calais. They're not only in DRC. They're here in Aberdeen as well. The people who are marginalized, the people who are forgotten, the people who people don't... You know, Ian said something a while ago. Do you know that on Facebook, there was a lot said about some of our folk who live with us here because they're in council housing, and some of the more affluent people are criticizing these. Oh, they're bringing problems to Westhill. They're affecting our lives. All this kind of nasty stuff being said because you have people of a different social spectrum living amongst us who live in Westhill. It's wickedness. It's total wickedness. Why can we get... Now, the world can do that. That's normal. But we, as people who say we believe in Jesus, we cannot. If that thing is in your heart, just ask God, rid me of this. Because each person is of value to Jesus the same. And we can't marginalize people. We can't treat people differently. Remember, that's what Jesus said. Don't have the faith of Jesus with partiality. That's treating people differently for different reasons. Yeah? It could be just because the way they act is something different to what you really like. So you treat the person differently. Jesus said, well, let me tell you something. He says, even the unbelievers, they love the people who love them. So that you're not doing anything special. So all of us here in YAG, we love each other. We show each other love. We bless each other. We've not done anything remarkable. Because if you go into the group up there, or anywhere else where you have a group of people, by and large, there's a few fights and things, but by and large, they love each other. They're in a group. What have we done different? It's when we start loving those who nobody else finds it within them to love. when we start loving those who we naturally will not get on with, when we start loving those who criticize us, or those who maybe we even think are out to harm us, or don't like us, that's when we start making a difference. And this is why this, I think, is such an important story. But there's plenty of opportunity for us to do that. We should really ask Jesus and say, as I go out tomorrow, as I go out this week, who's that person? Who you said, I don't like her, I don't like him. We all have them in the office or in school or in uni. Nobody likes them because they're really mouth off, or they're always they're always like that. But who's going to love that person if you don't step up to love that person? Who will? You expect your colleagues who don't believe in Jesus to do that? It's us. It's us who have to go out of our way. Remember the woman at the well? You know the Samaritan woman at the well? And Jesus, not out of super spirituality, but just because he was thirsty, turned to his side and he saw a Samaritan woman. And he says, "Can you get me a drink of water, please?" She was shocked. She says, "What? You, a Jewish man, speaking to me, a Samaritan woman? I don't believe it." Opened the door. That woman got saved that day. Because somebody, Jesus, wasn't bothered by who she was, where she came from, her background, stereotype, all that kind of stuff. He was just a person. If we treat everyone just like a person, you will be surprised the doors that Jesus opens for salvation to break into people's lives. Rory, take it away from there.
I think as well, like you were saying, there's people in the jungle have their own shops and giving people what they have as well. I was like,
they're just running a business for themselves. They're just like,
but
it was jungle
people.
folk who lived there who were running the businesses.
I'm coming from wherever I'm coming.
Yeah.
But I've got money.
Yeah, so I can set up a little business. Yeah.
Because they're still not just keeping all their stuff to themselves because that's all they've got. They're still kind of. I know they're getting money. For
it's still like a service. I didn't really have that much to say. I think you finished it off, if anything, by bringing it around.
I think it's really important that we don't treat these things as just stories.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
I learned a lot just listening to it. I think that whole you make people feel so known. Like you say, refugee camp feels so many people, but it's like the individual that matters. Like one person matters.
Each one.
And even how you knew their names, it's
and
like
you've written their names down, yeah.
Yeah, which is I think
that's Jesus.
That's God's heart.
By name.
Yeah, and I think that's not everyone. To me, it was no. I felt like I realized again the sense of wow, everyone's so known, just how we feel it for ourselves. As you say, only by grace, it's not us in that place. But no, I think it was amazing. I think I learned so much from stories though, just as you shared. So
it's also just people, some refugees are coming to I know there's a lot of people came to Aberdeen, Syrian refugees, and it's not that hard to break that sort of barrier down from putting to their head a name refugee to just being a person.
I think that's a really good point, Darren, because once you hear refugee, it's a label.
But it's like
it means the person is different to me, different to me.
Like you said, you see the news and there's nothing good about it. There's nothing these people are trying to make a better life for themselves. It's all about the problems they're creating, but they're not problems. They're just labelled problems because people aren't happy with what's going on.
Wherever you look, you have this problem where once you have a group of people. As they say, the beginning of a problem is once it becomes them and us. Once they're different to us in any way. And I'm not speaking here about colour or nationality necessarily. You can give anyone any kind of name. Yeah, once it's them and they're not like us, you already create a division between the people, and that already begins to create a bitterness among certain other situations, and I think we can really learn from that. I think one thing I learned, I'm sure you learned this, whenever we go away on these trips, they're so insightful and we learn so much. But we should always think about how we then, the lesson is not only in the going, the lesson is where you are as well. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what, I learned from this, because again, think about what Rory said. It says, it's just providing someone a cup of tea and a biscuit. In your workplace or in uni, you may be going to get a coffee. All you need to do is get a coffee for that person who nobody's interested in. And say, hey, I just thought of you, here you go. Nothing more. Don't even need to over-spiritualize it. You just got your coffee. But all you're doing is thinking about somebody who no one else is thinking about.
What encourages me a lot is how they weren't evangelizing so much. They were just doing services for the people. Yeah. And that's what I like doing. I like doing stuff for people. And I'm not an evangelist. So
well,
that,
you could be. Just in a different way.
But in a different way.
Okay.
And that's what I got from this, was that I can still make a difference. Even though I'm not an evangelist, I can still go out there and make a difference just by acts of service.
Absolutely.
Well, like that as well. It's like you don't feel like an evangelist. For the past 2 years, I've been going up to Shetland just to do like a soccer school. And you're only playing football. It's like, how on earth can that make a difference in someone's life? But it's just like going up and being there and having an ability to play football and help other people, like serve all these kids. It's just like, you're not really, you have like times when you have to like tell people about like a story in the Bible to the kids, because that's kind of the whole part of it. But it's just like, the main reason is just to go play football. Yeah. And I also went to Italy as well, like about 5 years ago, and like I was only like 15, so I was like, I don't know why I'm only going because I've been asked to go. But you don't realise how, like, a good thing is you don't know what impact you've made. Mm-hmm. And I think a good thing is sometimes you don't get told the impact, because then you just kind of have that in your head that you've made a difference and you've done your job. That's what I was kind of thinking about from that. Like, you're just going to serve coffee, but you're not going to get a medal at the end of it. Yeah. You're just being there at the right time.
And even remember the words of Jesus, because let's always bring it back to the Bible. When he spoke about those people, he said, as long as you did it unto one of these, you did it unto me. What did he talk about? Visiting someone in prison, giving a cup of cold water.
You've been reading it. That was like the Bible in 1 year, verse like yesterday.
Isn't it?
I love that.
Those
That's like
who
my
preached
favorite.
or those who did this. I mean, the gospel, don't get me wrong, is an integral part of everything we do, and we can't hide from that. But we don't need to get hung up on, oh, I'm giving this to you, but let me preach to you first. And I'm going to have this exchange whereby I'm not giving it to you unless you sit and listen to me finish my 1 hour sermon. Then you can have a cup of cold water. It's all about just blessing the individual. The opportunities for the gospel will come. Some people indeed are better at articulating the gospel. Some are better by living it out. That's why we're all, one is a hand, one is a foot, one is this, one is that. As you said, Emma, you may not be the best person. You may or may not. Maybe you're becoming that or not, but it's the same thing. You feel a lot more able to just do for people. That's fine. You're doing it for Jesus. There'll be someone beside you who's working with you, who may be able to tell them about Jesus at another convenient time. Do you know what I mean? So we don't have to get hung up with, I've got to tell them, And as you said, Darren, so often, you do all this stuff, and you never know what impact it had on anyone. Neither do we seek to know what the impact is, but we just leave it in the hands of the one who sent us. I said, I'm just doing what you said, and all he said is, just do it unto them, you do it unto Jesus. It's good enough. So your visit there, as you were giving his cup of tea, it was Jesus receiving the cup of tea, the biscuit, playing Can I Fall with Jesus. I think that's cool, isn't it?